Hello everyone, and welcome to the tutorial on the performance final for beginning music tech. Today I'm going to walk you through the expectations for the performance final that is coming up rather quickly. So if you need to review what is required, this is going to be a step-by-step. So step number 1 is open a new empty logic file. I have done that, but if you need help remembering that, you come up here to the top where it says File and go to New. Once you follow that process, then you'll have a new empty logic file that looks a lot like this. Next, you want to open Logic Pro X, which is this button right here. Preferences, scroll down to here, and Audio. You want to ensure that your input device, which is this one right here, says Audio Box USB. Now, I'm not changing mine or you'll stop hearing me. Your output device should say built-in output because of how you're using the headphone jack. So, input device, audio box USB, output device as the built-in output. And then if you make changes, make sure to apply them. Okay, next, create a software instrument. Hit the plus button, come to the software instrument, hit create. That right there has earned you points. That's we've been doing since week 1. Turn on the metronome and set the tempo to something other than 120. And we'll turn on the metronome here, make sure it's highlighted purple, grab the tempo here and drag it down to make 104 as my default tempo. Next, I'm going to change the software instrument to a drum track. I'm going to come over here to my drum kit. Now I have a drum set. There we go. Test it out. Make sure I like that drum set, and I do. Record a 2-measure beat that lines up with the click. So it's going to take up this measure and this measure, and that's all I want. So here we go. I'm going to hit record. Doesn't have to be anything extremely complicated. It does the trick right there. You can get rid of that recording. Moving on, we want to make sure that it lines up with the beat. So one thing we need to make sure we do is our fancy tool called quantize. And when we hit that Q right there after selecting them all, you can do this to select them all, or you can click and drag a box around them, either way, and then hit the Q. That makes them all line up so that everything is accurate. Then we can get rid of the piano roll. That completed step number 6. Step number 7 is to make this loop 4 times. The easiest way I think to do that is grab the corner and drag out. There are other ways. For instance, you could hit Command R. And there you have 4 loops of the same thing. Either way, totally fine. That takes care of step 7. Step 8, use the appropriate tools to make the dynamics or volume of this track gradually go down in measure 3 and 4, and then suddenly jump back up in 5. To do that, we use our automation tool. We're going to set a dot right here on measure 3, set a dot near the end of measure 4. That takes care of the gradually going down in 4 and 5, and putting another one at the beginning of measure 5 should take care of the jump up. Now, I want this line to be as truly sudden as I can possibly get it. So one thing I want you to do is to zoom in. Make sure that the beginning of measure 5 is where that dot is set, and the other dot is set as close to it without overtaking it as possible. Now that is a sudden jump. You can zoom back out then and see that we have created a very sudden, aggressive jump up in the project there. So gradually down in 3 and 4, suddenly jumps back up in 5. And that takes care of step 8. Create another software instrument. Boom, boom, another software instrument. Change this instrument to be something other than drums or drum machine. So you could leave it as it is, or you could say, hey, I want this to be the Steinway grand piano. And now it should be the Steinway grand piano as it is. Okay, turn off my automation tool, and I want to record in 4 different notes that last 2 clicks each, or are half notes starting at the beginning. So I'm going to mute my drums, go back to the beginning here with my thing. I've got to count off, so I'll hear 4 clicks for nothing. Then I'm going to record 2 click each notes. So here we go. Good. So there we have 2 clicks each for the notes. We can verify that by coming in here. We know that 8 little blocks equals 2 total clicks, but they are not quantized right now. So we want to make sure we quantize, select them all, hit the Q, that bounces them in. And then each of them, except for the last one, is a little long. So we're going to tuck in there, stretch that out, do some sequence editing. Now we have 4 notes that are exactly 2 clicks long. So that means that we are accurate there. And that gets us through step 11. Now we want to apply the chord trigger to transform each of the written notes into a chord of our choosing. So we open up the chord trigger from the MIDI effects. We're going to come to factory default. If you saved one from earlier in the semester, it's okay to reuse that now. Totally fine. If you didn't, well, let's build a new one. So we're going to go to multi, and we're going to go to learn. I'm going to hit the note that I just played first, which is this one. That tells it I want to record on that. Then I'm going to hit 3 notes at a time, and that's going to play the chord. Do that again as I move up the piano. Now I get all those 4 notes. So when I have playback now, I'm done with that. So that takes care of step 12. 13 is create another software instrument. Create. 14, change it to something other than drums or a drum machine. Acoustic guitar it is. Okay. Now we are going to activate the arpeggiator. Excuse me. Come down MIDI effects, click the arpeggiator. It is set to 16th notes, which is an important part of step 16, so we're good to go on that. Remember that holding a single note at a time is not arpeggiating. Multiple notes, that is arpeggiating. So record a short section on measure 5 through 8 that demonstrates your use of the arpeggiator in 16th notes. I've got my playhead now set at measure 5. I'm going to record. Okay, that gets us through that section, which is accurate now. As soon as we quantize to make sure everything fits. And just for good measure, I'm going to go in just to be tidy and accurate. That makes me feel better personally. Okay, record, that took care of step 16. So we are now set 1 through 16. We've got our nice little groove laid out there. Step 17, this is where you need to make sure the microphone is appropriately plugged in. Connect the cord to the end of the microphone. Make sure to connect the other end to channel 1 of your audio box. So that is important. Make sure you have done that. That's step 17. Create a new track for an audio recording on input 1. So you're going to click the plus button. You're going to come to an audio right here. Make sure that you're on input number 1, that you input monitor, record enable, and as a double check, make sure your device says audio box here and built-in output here, and then hit create. Now we are On our new track that we just built, you'll notice my speaking jumped down to this one because it is reading my microphone. Make sure you set your gain appropriately at this point. So take the knob. If you're using a dynamic microphone, which most of you should be for this activity, I would suggest setting the little line to about 3 o'clock on the gain meter of the box. Okay, so in measure number 9 or beyond, record a brief statement using your voice. Here we go. This is a brief statement using my voice. Great. So now we've recorded that. We want to apply the equalizer settings to improve the sound. So what I'm going to do for me, I'm going to loop this little section right here. And then I'm going to open my equalizer, which was right here under the EQ. If you have your analyzer on, you'll be able to see where the actual sound waves are happening at. As you listen to it, you can adjust to make improvements in the tone quality of your voice. This is a brief statement using my 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 voice. Okay, so there we have adjusted the equalizer settings to improve the sound of our voice. Finally, step 21, the last step, is to turn this recording into an MP3. So I'm going to take and make my loop region over the entire project, come down to the stereo output track and hit bounce, B-N-C-E. And that brings up the menu. It says we're starting at the beginning. We're ending at measure 12, which covers the entire project. I've got MP3 now selected, and I am good to go. That will be the completion of the project. So I will cancel this right now and so let you hear the entire project from start to finish. This is a brief statement using my voice. And there you go. That has it. That's the performance final. Now that has taken me 13 minutes up to this point from the time we started. You have 15 to do it in class. You should be able to work through it without having to talk through all the steps, so it should be significantly quicker. I hope that helped. You'll be able to figure it out and do well on your performance final. Thanks for watching.